And welcome back, or just welcome if you're new here. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And we're continuing on now with day 4 of my Shark Week. I chose 7 movies from my collection, interestingly enough, 6 of which I had never seen before. So they were first time watches, which is why I've really enjoyed doing this one. So, yeah, we are now moving on to 47 Meters Down. I had not seen this movie. I've got both of them, but I had not seen this movie. So it is a first time watch for me. And what a watch it was. So it was released in 2017. It stars Claire Holt, Mandy Moore, and Matthew Modine. I had such a crush on him when I was a kid. Vision Quest. Vision Quest. Have you ever seen Vision Quest? Okay. And he's definitely in a couple of those war movies too. What movie? I've got them all. But, you know, Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Hamburger Hill, something. He's in one of those, I know. But yeah, I love Matthew Modine. So, we are introduced to Lisa and Kate. They're sisters. They're on vacation in Mexico. They are playing around in a pool, talking about how it's beautiful and how much fun they're having, but at the same time, it's kind of boring. And that Lisa is talking, and Kate is don't you wish Stuart was here? Or Stuart doesn't know what he's missing. Now, later on that night, she finds out that Lisa was lying, that Stuart couldn't come because of work. Stuart had dumped her. Not the other way around, but she had been dumped, that he had called her boring, said that he was bored with their relationship, that she was a boring person, and yeah, that's kind of difficult to hear. So they get dressed, they go out and party to try to make Lisa feel better. They do end up running across Lewis and Benjamin. These are 2 guys, and they talk them into going on a cage dive, and this is supposedly where they chum the waters, even though chumming is illegal. But they chum the waters and put you down in a cage for about 5 meters and let you see the sharks where you're protected. It's a tourist thing. So Lisa really doesn't want to do it, but Kate does, and kind of uses that boring thing, you're a boring person thing, to kind of like push her into doing it, which she does. They meet the next day and they go out where they meet the captain, Matthew Modine, and you can tell this isn't a safe operation. It's his boat is very decrepit and cheap. They even notice how poorly the cage looks, all rusted and stuff. So she keeps talking to her, and she keeps getting her to do it. She did sort of pressure her into doing it. So they do that. They end up getting, the boys do it. The boys come out fine. They do it. They get excited about it once they are doing it, which I'm sure a lot of people are about a lot of things that you may be afraid to do, and then you do it and it's fine. So they end up doing that, and they're really enjoying themselves at that point. And then all of a sudden, the cage starts messing up. Yes, I'm trying to catch a cold or something down here with the weather change. But the cage ends up messing up. They get scared to death, and then it plunges. It plunges all the way down to the very bottom. Not only does it plunge all the way down to the bottom, it wasn't the cable that was the problem. It was the winch. The winch actually came loose from the boat. So it followed them down, and they're 47 meters down at the bottom of the ocean, which is too far to just swim up, you know, which they couldn't do at the beginning anyway because the winch had fallen on top. So there's some really interesting scenes, how they get out. I'm going to do that through this whole video. But they managed to do that. She manages to get out through the bars. She gets the winch off. She swims up a little bit to contact the captain, who tells her, okay, go down there. We will send Xavier down with another cable and pull you back up. But do not just swim up here because you will get the bends and the bends will kill you. So, you know, and you're not in a safe area. Because a lot of people would say, well, so what? You just stop every 15 minutes for 5 minutes. Not in shark-infested chummed water, you don't. That's the problem. If they hadn't chummed the waters and had the place full of hungry sharks, they could have probably done that. Because the sharks wouldn't have been frenzied. They wouldn't have been in the mood. But there's, you know, you can't do that right now. So you need to go back to the cage. So we have a lot of really extreme, interesting talk. It's very claustrophobic, despite the fact that you're in open ocean. It's very claustrophobic feeling, very anxiety inducing. I'm not a fan of the water anyway. And I'll tell you this little side story. I haven't been into the water since I was 14 years old, into the ocean. And I live at the beach. I live right above Panama City Beach, Florida. I haven't been into the water. Locals usually don't. I mean, there's lots of locals that go, but, you know, people come from a tourist town to a tourist town and they find out, you know, they're like, oh, I love your beach, I love your ocean. It's like, yeah, I don't know, I haven't been in it since I was a kid. And they're like, you live here and you're not swimming 24/7? And it's like, no, man, because we're locals, we live here, yeah? It's always been there. Bored now. You know? But when I was 14 years old, we lived in, my grandmother had 2 condos in Pinnacle Port, which is a condominium complex at the far end of the beach. It's, they actually, I loved that time, that period of life too. Barbara Eden was there. We got to meet and she loved us, and we got to sit on the deck chairs at the pool. They filmed a movie called Condominium, which is a 4-hour TV miniseries, disaster, corruption, crime type thing in 1980. And they filmed that movie. You can look it up on Wikipedia. They filmed the movie Condominium, Dan Haggerty, Barbara Eden, and we lived there. My grandmother had a first floor condo and a third floor condo. She had 2 condos. Ooh, isn't that hoity-toity? But we were there when they filmed that. We got to know Barbara Eden, and so it's one of my best childhood memories is sitting in a deck chair with Barbara Eden and her hands around us. You know, me and my 2 uncles who were younger than me. My grandmother was busy. So, yeah, that's very cool. But when we were living there, one of her things, she liked to paint sand dollars. So we would go out sand dollaring, which is where you go out. You usually need to go about waist or shoulder or breast high water to find sand dollars on the bottom and get them. And then you bleach and paint them. So we were out there sand dollaring, and a jellyfish wrapped around my leg and my thigh. Not only did it wrap around me, but its tentacles got tangled up. So not only was it wrapped around my leg, it was wrapped around my legs like a bow. Now, I can tell you that I was in a near fatal car wreck. I have a bunch of damage for it. There's a nice big scar right there. I have a bunch of fake stuff in my body from that car wreck. And it didn't even compare to the sensation of that jellyfish around my leg. I remember walking to shore. I didn't scream at first. I think it's too shocking to your body. I didn't scream at first, but I did when I started getting towards the shore. My grandmother came, my uncles came, a whole bunch of people came. The pool boy or the pool manager or maintenance guy, whatever, he came. They all came running, and they got the jellyfish off of my leg, and he ran and screamed at them to go get a bucket of pool chlorine. I don't know. I don't know what kind of treatment that is or whether it is or not, but I know that's what they did. They poured a bucket of pool chlorine on my leg that you put in a pool, and it helped. The ambulance came. My leg swelled up like 3 times the size of the other one. I didn't have to go to the hospital, though. They checked the vitals, said everything was fine, and that was it for me. I was through. Between Jaws and getting attacked by a jellyfish, I was through. So no matter how long I've lived in this area, I have never been back in the beach, in the water, since that day. Since that jellyfish attacked me. And I have never felt that kind of pain since then, including terrible car wreck. I don't know. Let me know if you've ever been stung by a jellyfish seriously, not just a tap, but if you've ever been seriously stung by a jellyfish, let me know. It's horrible. But, so yeah, that's a little side story about that. So I would never be in this situation is what I'm saying, because my ass ain't getting in that rickety cage. So as they're waiting for Xavier to come down with this other cable, their oxygen is getting low. So you have all of this stress. And they notice a flashlight off in the distance. At first they think that the boat left them, and you think, well, maybe they're like, hey, there's a couple of tourists, we don't want to get in trouble, just let them down there. So, you know, for a short period there, you actually kind of think Matthew Modine's character and them are all shady. And they are a little shady, because I think he could tell they didn't know how to dive, and the boys had warned them, don't say anything, you know. Just if he asked, you know, are you experienced in diving, you just say yes. And that's another thing you should never do, you know. You ask, you know, can you drive this plane? Yeah, sure. I've never even been in one, but yeah. So don't do that. So, being as they're almost out of air, who was it? Lisa has got more air, so Lisa goes and tries to find Xavier, and that's a very harrowing part of the movie. And she manages to find his torch, and then she manages to find him. But right as he finds her, a shark rips him to shreds right in front of her. She finds his body. You know, she finds his body, but his tank has got no air in it. And she does get the gun. She gets a spear gun and the flares that he had on him. But that's all that she got. She goes back to the cage, and that's a stressful scene. She manages to get back to the cage. She gets the wrench hook that he had bought down. You know, he had brought the cable. So she took that, and she went back to the cage where she hooked it up to their cage. And you finally think that they're going to get rescued because it works. She swims up, lets him know, swims back down, the cage starts rising, and you kind of feel a little relief. They get right at the, you know, what was it? Did they get right at the surface? I think it was like, No, okay. They didn't make it to the surface. I think it was like 20 meters or something like that. And then this time the actual cable starts breaking. And it breaks and they plunge back down to the bottom. And at the bottom, Lisa's leg is pinned underneath the cage. Um, so he's like, okay, what are we going to do now? She swims up, Kate swims up, lets him know what's going on, and he says, the reason that I haven't sent you down extra air is because switching from one oxygen tank to another leads to a very, very high risk of nitrogen psychosis, delusions, hallucinations, things like that. I didn't Google it, so I don't know why, but for some reason, switching oxygen tanks can do that to you. But because of their situation, he's like, you just have to watch each other, make sure that you don't lose it. But you'll be all right because we have the Coast Guard on the way. They'll be here within the hour. Everything will be fine. So he sends down the extra air, and it lands a little way. I guess it looked like it maybe 20 yards, 15, 20 yards from the cage is where it lands. So Kate goes out there to get it and hooks herself up because she was like that. She was right on the edge of having no oxygen. So she does it right there where she finds them. She puts the new oxygen tank on. And she's coming back, and Lisa warns her that a shark's right above her, so she gets down on the ground and she hides. And it passes over her. She can't see it anymore. And then she gets, like, Lisa's going to run out of air. So she's like, I'm going to make a play for the cage, So she gets up and she starts walking towards the cage. And this shark comes out of nowhere and you assume kills her ass, leaving the other tank about 5 feet from the cage with Lisa's leg pinned underneath it. And I wrote, scared shit out of me. Because when that shark gets Kate, that scared the shit out of me. So Lisa doesn't know what to do. She ends up seeing that spear gun and thinks, if I can use that spear, because the spear has a line on it, if I can use it to hook the tank and pull it to me. So that's what she begins to do. And she finally manages to get that done, and she pulls the tank over to her and manages to get it in and hook it up. And so now she's back to full air. So shortly after then is when she hears Lisa come over her thing. She's very, very hurt. The shark hurt her very badly. Lisa uses an inflatable to get the cage up enough for her to get her leg out. She goes out there to rescue Kate. She manages to find Kate, who is like all cut up, stuff like that. And they start, we can't wait. She ends up taking her up, and they get about halfway up. The captain tells them to stop. You have to wait for 5 minutes. Use the flares to scare the sharks off. A couple of really good scenes there. About 5 minutes they stay there, and then he's like, come now, get up here. So they take up when they run out of flares. So they shoot up there, and when they get to the surface, Lisa's attacked. Kate's pulled up. Lisa starts getting pulled up. Shark jumps out of the water, grabs her, pulls her back down. She goes through a big fight with it. They manage to get both of them up. They're doctoring their legs and all of that kind of stuff. And you think that everything's going to be all right. only you then at that moment find out that everything that you have just watched since she plugged in that new tank was a hallucination, and the bitch is still on the bottom of the ocean in a cage. And you're like, that was good. That was good. Because usually in someone's hallucinations and dreams, they don't get viciously attacked several times by sharks. That's usually not part of your fantasy life. So it all seemed so real. And then you're back at the bottom where she's realizing that she's back at the bottom. And you can hear the captain saying, she's hallucinating. You're hallucinating. And here comes the Coast Guard. They come, their divers come, and they manage to get her out. She starts coming back to a little bit into reality. And they take her up to the boat, and she's alive. And Kate's dead, and Xavier's dead. And that was a very, very good movie. So I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. And I actually really like this movie. I was actually a little surprised. I didn't think that it was going to jump scare me quite a few times that it did. I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't think I would like it. So I had heard plenty about it, and people saying that it's good, which is about all I'll listen to, is people saying it's good. But I had bought both of them sight unseen. Still haven't seen the second one yet, but I will, because it'll be the one after this. But yeah, so I didn't think that it was going to jump scare me like it did. There were several times that it scared the shit out of me. When it got Xavier, or when Xavier was behind Lisa's back and she turns around and it was Xavier, that scared me. And then within 2 seconds after that scared me, the shark got him, and that scared me. And when that shit got Kate, that was it for me, bitch. I nearly flipped over this chair. That was a good scare. So this was really good. It was a really, really good movie. I can't recommend it enough. 47 Meters Down. Let me know what you think about 47 Meters Down in the comments if you would like. I would love to hear your thoughts about anything. Not many people do. But I noticed that on a lot of people's channels too. It's like you'll look and it'll say 300 views, 5 likes, and 6 comments. And you're like, man, people are fucking lazy. I always try to click like, and I always try to leave a comment on somebody's stuff, because are you really in that big of a hurry? I don't know. I don't know why. But if you do look, that's what you'll see on pretty much everyone's channel. It'll be like 1,000 views, 27 likes. Now that doesn't mean that they're disliking it. It just means that they don't bother to like, and they don't bother to comment. 1,000 views, 27 likes, 6 comments. And you're like, so people watch, but then they move right on and they don't engage. Maybe they have the automated thing on that shows you the next video or something. I don't know. I don't get it. I try to like and comment as a form of appreciation and support, but doesn't seem like very many people do. But 47 Meters Down. Love you, miss you. Bye. And I'll see you in the next one. Always remember, never forget, you are a wonderfully special person, even if you are not trapped 47 meters down in a chummed, shark-infested waters. And I will see you in the next one. 3 more to go for this one. Then we'll decide what festival to do next. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. And, yeah. You know what I should do? I was thinking about it when I watched this, or when I was filming this earlier tonight. Not filming this, I'm filming it now. But I mean, when I was getting ready to film these, I was remembering that condominium story that I told you, and I was like, you know what? How come you're a collector? You have got to go and find that movie because you were there. So maybe you and your family, maybe me grandma and me uncles, maybe we're in one of the crowd scenes or something because they filmed the movie while we were living there, right? So, yeah, I'm going to try to do that because who knows, right? I mean, maybe they caught a crowd scene or something and we could be in there. And I kind of thought, you've known about this all your life. How come you've never went and tried to find that movie and see if you can like expertly go through it and see if you can spot you guys anywhere? So I don't know. I'm going to try that because that's like, I got that wrote down. I'm like, try to find this show and see. Maybe, who knows? But see you in the next one. Love you, miss you, bye. Ta ta for now. Hope to see you soon.